Hello, welcome. This is a video about how to solve for an angle of a right triangle. And I'm going to do this first video on both the approaching and proficient levels. Given the right triangle, find all three angle measures. And this first one is, we already know two of them. We know that F is 35 degrees. We're just going to write it down, 35 degrees. I see angle E, based on this symbol here, is 90 degrees. And so we're going to use what's called the triangle sum theorem. The triangle sum theorem basically says if I've got a triangle, any triangle, x, let's say x, y, z are the angles of this thing, then I know that x degrees plus y degrees plus z degrees must be equal to 180 degrees. The sum of any three triangles in a triangle has to be 180 degrees, and that could be any triangle, including right triangles. So I would just say then we'd call this x. You'd call it whatever you want. We don't know what d is, and so we're going to say x plus 35 plus 90 degrees equals 180 degrees. And now I can subtract 35 from both sides. I can subtract 90 from both sides. And of the equal sign is what I mean by both sides. That cancels the 90s. It cancels the 35s. And so I'm left with then just x. And this I can just, I can put that in my calculator. So I've got 180 minus 90 degrees minus, what was the other one? 35, right? So minus 35, 35, and that gives me 55 degrees. So I go over here, and x then is equal to 55 degrees. Now, proficient here. This is given the right triangle, find all three angle measures. So we already know R. That's the 90 degrees. So let's go ahead and write that in. Just so we remember that's 90 degrees. I don't know P or Q, and you can decide which one you want to do first. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and try to find P first, and so I'm going to label this for my theta, and I'm going to say as it pertains to that angle Q, this side is the opposite side. And then this one, 3.5 is right next to the angle, and so that's my adjacent. And so if I'm looking at the mnemonic, so, ka, toa, then I know I've got, and we know, let me just make note, we know that this is the hypotenuse. But we don't know this side. We're not interested in finding that side. I would say let's just not even label it so we can focus on what we have and what we know. So I've got O, I've got A. And I look at this and say, well, O, and I got A. Well, that'd be toa. That's the tangent. And so I can use that to write my equation. And so I can write the tangent of, and here if you want to write, because we're looking at P, so the tangent of P, that's fine. Since we've marked it as theta, if you want to mark the tangent of theta. The important thing to note is that what follows the sine or the cosine or the tangent right after it, immediately before the equal sign, is an angle. So that theta is fine. If you put P there, oh, I'm sorry, not P. Q, excuse me, I was talking wrong here. If you put Q, that's fine. If you put, whatever there, it doesn't matter as long as you recognize that it is an angle. So I'm going to put the tangent of theta, and that'd be O over A. The O opposite side is 2.4, and the adjacent side is 3.5. So I can write that. Now, I want to know what the angle theta is. What is this theta? What's the angle Q? And so there is an inverse of the tangent. On the calculator, it looks like this little tangent. If you can see where I put my cursor, right where the tangent button is, right above it is that in blue is that the tangent with the -1. That's the inverse tangent. I also call it the arc tangent. And so I'm going to do second and then inverse tangent. And what do you think I'm going to do there? Well, the inverse tangent will give me the angle. So I'm going to put the inverse tangent of 2.4 over 3.5. Now, note, big letters here. Calculator must, in capital letters, must be set to degrees. So let me show you how you do that. Notice up here on the newer calculators, it says degrees. On the older calculators, it doesn't say. And so you just have to push mode, and then you can look at and see, if I move down here, I can see that radians is not highlighted. But notice if I do second plus 712 and clear the memory, notice that up here it says radians. The default setting in both the old and the new calculators is radians. It's not degrees. You need to make sure that we change that angle measure from radians, which you'll learn next year, is now in degrees. So we're going to put mode. We're going to move down, boom, 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 down to radians, then move over to the right. And then to select that, you're going to hit the enter button. So I don't have to put the enter button. And now it's highlighted on degree. And it also says degree up on the top if you've got the newer calculators. Again, for the older calculators, and then I do second function quit. If you have an older calculator, it's not going to say degree up here. It doesn't have anything along the top. You just hit mode. Oh, degree, it's highlighted. So I'm good. So then I go back, second function, mode, and quit. That just quits. That menu takes me back here. Again, I'm going to do second function, tangent. That's the inverse tangent. And then I'm just going to put in, like I've got here, 2.4 over 3.5. So 2.4 divided by 3.5. And then I just hit enter. And if it's in degrees, it'll give you back the angle measure. This is 34 point yada, 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 a bunch of digits after the decimal point. Make note here that it says we need to round the decimals to the hundredths place. And so the hundredths place, that's 2 decimal places after the decimal point. So remember that this is theta, which is, just make note, it's Q. And it is approximately equal to the hundredths place. I got 34.43 is in the hundredths place, but the 8 next to it is going to round it up to 4. So it's 34.44. 34.44 degrees. 34.44 degrees. Make sure you're writing that degree in there because then we know what we're talking about, that these are angles in degrees. Now, at this point, if you watched, you did watch the earlier part of this video, I assume, we're just going to use the triangle sum theorem. So we're going to take 180, and we're going to subtract from it 34.44 and also 90, and that will give us the angle of P. So this is angle P, the measure. Sometimes you'll see it written as M, angle P. That's the measure of angle P, and it's going to be equal to this. So we go back to our calculator, 180 minus, that's not what I meant to say, 34.44, and then subtract from that 90, and then that would give us 55.56. So 55.56 degrees. And those are our answers. There we go. Okay, en español. 9:40, para que lo apunte después. En este primero, lo de Approaching Proficient. Dice, given the right triangle, dado este triángulo rectángulo, find all three angle measures. Encuentra todas las medidas de los ángulos. Y nos dieron que F es 35. Lo escribimos, entonces F igual a 35. Y también sabemos que E, con este símbolo, es de 90. Es de 90 grados. Ese es un ángulo recto. Entonces, X es lo que tenemos que saber. Perdón, D es lo que tenemos que saber. No sabemos qué es X. Pero hay un teorema que en inglés se llama Triangle Sum Theorem. Ese teorema, en la suma de los ángulos de los triángulos, siempre se suma a 180 grados. Entonces ponemos la ecuación X igual, más 35 más 90 tiene que ser igual a 180 grados. Y si restamos 35 de ambos lados y restamos 90 de ambos lados, eso se puede poner en la calculadora y sale 55. ¿Dónde lo ponemos? 55. Así de fácil. Ahora, el siguiente es un poco más complicado, pero igual se puede. Aquí dice, given the right triangle, dado el triángulo rectángulo, find all three angle measures. Encuentra todos los ángulos, las medidas de los ángulos en los tres ángulos. Otra vez sabemos ya que R es un ángulo recto, entonces eso es de 90 grados. Muy bien. Ahora vamos a encontrar, no importa cuál, pero voy a poner Q y voy a poner un Z ahí a su costado. Y Z, entonces, para eso hay que decir, ok, ese es el lado opuesto y ese es el lado adyacente. Y sabiendo eso, podemos decir, perdón, déjeme apuntarlo otra vez. Eso es opuesto porque es el lado opuesto, se hace una flecha del otro lado. Y ese es el lado adyacente. Entonces lo que vamos a usar, tenemos O y tenemos A, ese es TOA, ese es el tangent, eso es lo que vamos a usar. Entonces escribimos la ecuación, tangent de Z es igual a 2.4 sobre 3.5. Hay que asegurar, como se dice aquí en inglés, que la calculadora tiene que estar en grados. Y si tú no sabes cómo hacerlo, pues por favor acércate a mí, yo te ayudo. Si estás viendo esto de otra clase, que no eres uno de mis alumnos, estoy en el 2213, ese es mi salón, 2213. Puedes venir, te enseño cómo hacerlo. Ahora, el opuesto del tangent es el inverse tangent, esto. Y eso se hace en la calculadora con este botón. Pero ese es el tangent. Entonces, para hacer eso lo ponemos second y lo hace el azul, el inverse tangent. Y ponemos 2.4, perdón, 4. Perdón, otra vez, tangent, inverse tangent. 2.4 sobre 3.5. 2.4 dividido entre 3.5. Y eso nos da, porque está en, otra vez, como dice ese degree en inglés. Degree es grado en español, pero no es radians. Y hay que asegurarse de que tú sabes cómo poner eso en la calculadora. Entonces, degrees sale 34.44. De ahí, eso lo restamos, 180 más, perdón, menos 34.44, también restamos en 90, y eso nos da 55.56. Y esas son entonces las respuestas que vamos a usar. Para adelante, si se puede. Si tienen preguntas, otra vez, avísenme, vengan a visitarme y yo te ayudo. Cuídense.